Hello my dear students, myself Dr. Pitambar Humne, founder Botany for You and working as Associate Professor and Head Department of Botany, Dharampet MP Dev Memorial Science College, Nagpur, Maharashtra, India. I welcome you all in this online platform for the students of Life Sciences Botany for You. Friends, if you are new or not yet subscribed our YouTube channel, then kindly like, share and subscribe our YouTube channel Botany for You. And also press bell icon for the alerts of every lecture to be uploaded on different life sciences titles. If you want to associate with us through the Telegram group, then the link is given in the description. Through that you can join the Telegram group and also take the advantage of the different career opportunities in life sciences in India and abroad, as well as the literature in PDF format. In our last lectures, we have completed different 12 lectures and 3 lectures on MCQ type of the questions in plant physiology. In the same series of the lectures, today we are going to see our 13th lecture, and that is on the introduction of photosynthesis. This topic is big one and hence will be bifurcated into a number of lectures. So, first of all, today we will see the different aspects which will be included in upcoming classes on the photosynthesis. So, let us see today's topic, that is introduction to photosynthesis. Now, what is photosynthesis? Simply, if we see, the photosynthesis means the something synthesis in presence of light. But very basically and commonly, this process is used in relation to that of the green plants, because we know the green plants are responsible to produce their own food material, or we can say the organic matter. Means here there is a synthesis of organic matter or the food material by the green plants in presence of light, and that is nothing but the photosynthesis. Or in a technical language, we can say the process in which there is a formation of the complex organic compounds from the simple inorganic ones in presence of light and the chlorophyll. So, if you concentrate on this reaction, you will find that here there is a 6 molecules of the carbon dioxide and the 6 molecules of the water in presence of light and the chlorophyll are converted into the C6H12O6, that is the hexose sugar. Either we can say that it is a glucose or the fructose with evolution of oxygen. See now the definition: the synthesis of the complex organic compounds with the help of simple inorganic compounds in presence of light and chlorophyll, and during this process there is an evolution of oxygen. Now this is a classical reaction of the photosynthesis, but later on it is confirmed that this oxygen which is evolved in the photosynthesis, that comes from the water and not from the carbon dioxide, that is given in the Hill reaction. So, if we see these 6 molecules of the oxygen, there is need of 12 oxygen atoms, and in the 6 molecules of the water there are only 6 atoms, and hence these 6 atoms are unable to release the 6 molecules of the oxygen. So, further there is a discovery by the Hill in which it is said that the water molecule is responsible to evolve the oxygen during the photosynthesis, and This process is known as photolysis of water. Photo means the light and lysis means to break. So, in presence of light, here there is a breaking of the water molecule into the protons, electrons and oxygen, and this oxygen is evolved in the process of photosynthesis, and hence this classical reaction later on modified into 6 molecules of carbon dioxide and 12 molecules of the water in presence of light and the chlorophyll forms the hexose sugar, that is the glucose or the fructose. 6 molecules of water, that is the metabolic water, and 6 molecules of the oxygen evolved. Now these 6 molecules contain the 12 atoms, and again this 12 molecules of the water also contain the 12 atoms, and hence it is very sufficient to release the 6 molecules of the oxygen, and hence now this reaction is used as a reaction for the photosynthesis. But such a simple type of the process of the formation of the carbohydrate is not carried out in the plants. It is a multi-step process and classified into mainly 2 types that we will see in the upcoming class. Now, first of all, if we see the total world photosynthesis, then we will find the 90% of the world's photosynthesis is carried out by the algae or the organisms in the oceans. This was the earlier discovery. But now if we see this photosynthesis which is carried out by the marine algae, that is only 1/3 of the total world photosynthesis, and hence we can say that the rest of the 2/3 of photosynthesis is carried out outside the oceans. Now the question arises, why we are studying the photosynthesis, or what are the advantages of the photosynthesis, what are the significance or the functions of the photosynthesis. So first of all, in the process of the photosynthesis that we have seen, there is an evolution of the oxygen, and every living organism present on the mother earth require the oxygen for the respiration, and this oxygen is obtained from the plants, because when there is a process of the photosynthesis, there is a evolution of the oxygen, and hence it maintains the equilibrium of the oxygen in the atmosphere, because we are taking the oxygen and releasing the carbon dioxide, and that carbon dioxide is absorbed by the plants for the process of the photosynthesis, and the oxygen which is released by the plants in the photosynthesis, that we are using for the process of the respiration. So all the animals are dependent upon for this oxygen which is released by the process of the photosynthesis by the green plants. Second one, that it is responsible to provide the food material either directly as a vegetables, means all the plants that we are eating that are the product of the photosynthesis, or even indirectly as a meat, milk of the animals, which in turn fed on the plants. Whatever the type of the food we are taking in the form of the non-veg, that all these are coming from the plants, because all the animals are fed on the plants, and hence indirectly animals are also the product of the photosynthesis, and hence we can directly say that every living organism for the need of the food or the energy is completely depend upon the process of the photosynthesis, that is the green plants. Besides providing the energy in the form of the food material, the photosynthesis has also provided the vast reserve of the energy in the form of the fuel that we are getting from the mother earth, that is again the product of the photosynthesis. The fuel like the coal, oil, then pits, and also the wood and the cow dung or the dung. So all these are the product are directly or the indirectly coming from the process of the photosynthesis. Also, it is playing an important role in maintenance of the fertility of the soil. As we know, when after death and decay of the plant, there is a formation of the humus, and it is responsible to add the organic matter which later on converted into the inorganic ones. So, this is responsible to increase the fertility of the soil. Even we have the knowledge about the green manure, that is again one of the example to increase the fertility of the soil. Then the maintenance of the carbon dioxide concentration, because every time if all the animals are releasing the carbon dioxide in the process of the breathing or the respiration, then this carbon dioxide is absorbed by the plants in the process of the photosynthesis. Hence, just like that of the oxygen, again the green plants are responsible to maintain the equilibrium or the concentration of the carbon dioxide in the atmosphere also. So, in this way we can say that the photosynthesis is the only source for the all living organism, for the food also and for the vital process, that is the respiration also. Then whenever we are talking about these plants, how the process of the photosynthesis is carried out, very commonly whenever we are talking about the any green plant or the higher plant which is classified into the different parts, that is the root, stem and leaves, of which the leaves are modified for the process of photosynthesis. But it is not necessary that only the leaves carry out the process of the photosynthesis. Instead, all green part of the plant body is responsible to carry out the process of the photosynthesis, because in the many plants there is absence of the leaves or leafless plants are there, or even the leaves are completely reduced. So, in such a cases, instead of the leaf, the stem is green, and in such a cases that stem is also responsible to carry out this process of the photosynthesis. Whatever the type of the organ which is to be used for the process of the photosynthesis, the apparatus which is used for the photosynthesis are the same, and that is nothing but the chloroplast. So, we can say that here in the leaf, this is an example of the dicot leaf, because we are able to see that it is a dorsiventral leaf. On the one side there are the presence of the palisaded tissue, and on another side or the ventral side there are the presence of the spongy tissue. So, such type of the arrangement is present in the dicot leaf, while the isobilateral type of the condition is present in the monocot. So, now these cells which are present in between the upper epidermis and the lower epidermis, they are combinedly considered as a mesophyll cells. So, these mesophyll cells of the leaves possess the chloroplast in it. These chloroplasts are nothing but the cell organelles, and these chloroplasts are basically involved in absorption of the light which is required for the process of the photosynthesis. So, here you are able to see there are the presence of the stackings of the different lamellas or the thylakoid, and these stackings are known as the grana or granum, and the rest of the part is the stroma. So, the grana is a site of light reaction and the stroma is a site of dark reaction. Inside the grana or the thylakoids, here there are the presence of quantasomes, and in the quantasomes or the granular particles, there are the presence of the different photosynthetic pigments, and these pigments are broadly classified into the chlorophylls, carotenoids and phycobilins. So, first one, these chlorophylls are classified again into the chlorophyll A, chlorophyll B, chlorophyll C and chlorophyll D and E. In the similar manner, the bacteriochlorophyll A, bacteriochlorophyll B, C, D and E. And in addition to that, there is a presence of the bacterioviridin. So these are the different 10 pigments, and recently in the Australia another pigments, that is the chlorophyll F, is discovered. So that is again one of the addition in the group of the chlorophyll pigments. Remember this one, out of the total number of the chlorophylls, the chlorophyll A is the reaction center. Means all the pigments are responsible for the absorption of the light from the sun, but only the chlorophyll A is responsible to emit the electron, and the rest of the chlorophylls are responsible to transfer their energy to the chlorophyll A. Then second one, that is the carotenoids, which are of the two types, that is carotene and the xanthophyll. In the similar manner, the phycobilins are of the three different types and basically found in the algae and the green algae, or blue-green algae and the red algae. So in this way, the different pigments which are present in the chloroplast, they are responsible for the absorption of the light energy or the radiant energy, and this radiant energy is later on converted into the chemical energy, that is nothing but the hexose sugar. Then if we see these different pigments or the different apparatus which are used in the process of the photosynthesis, so in a sequence we can say that the photosynthetic pigments which are present in the chloroplast, they are responsible for the absorption of light, and later on there is a excited state of the atom or the molecule. You might have earlier studied in the chemistry that the proton and the neutron are responsible for the formation of the nucleus of the atoms, and the electrons are revolving around it. So this is a structure of the atom. So whenever any atom absorb light, so it means that this light is absorbed and this radiant energy is absorbed by this electron, and hence this electron from the ground state jump to the excited state after the absorption of the light energy, or we can directly say that this electron is a energy rich electron. Means the radiant energy or the energy which is absorbed from the sun is present now in this electron. So this is actually the excited state of the atom or the molecule. Then again the fluorescence and the phosphorescence, means whatever the amount of energy is absorbed by the electron, the excess amount of the energy is loosed or lost, and this energy is lost by different methods. It may in the form of the radiant energy, or it may in the form of the emission of the light. So that are considered as a fluorescence and the phosphorescence. Then again the red drop, that if we see the process of the photosynthesis, then at the red region of the light there is a abrupt fall in the quantum yield of the photosynthesis. Means the rate of the photosynthesis decreases in the red region of the light, and that is known as the red drop. Again the immersion has carried out earlier the experiment in which provided the two different lights separately and in a combination also. When he used the two different lights, he obtained the photosynthetic yield which is greater than sum of the photosynthetic yield of the individual lights. So such a type of the increase in the photosynthetic yield by using the two different wavelengths of the light at a same time. So this increase in the rate of the photosynthesis, that is known as the enhancement, means to increase, and it is discovered by the immersion, that is the Robert immersion, and hence it is known as the immersion's enhancement effect. Then photosynthetic units, that is the quantasomes. Earlier in the chloroplast we have seen there is a such type of the stacking of the different thylakoids or the lamellae, which are responsible for the formation of the granum and are present in the chloroplast. So in these quantasomes there are the presence of the morphologically prominent granular components or the particles, and these are photosynthetically active molecules, and these are known as the quantasomes. Actually, in quantasomes there are the presence of the pigments which are responsible for the absorption of the light. Then action spectra is nothing but the process in which we have to plot the rate of the photosynthesis with respect to the different wavelength of the light, so that we can come to know which type of the wavelength of the light is more efficient or the effective for better product or the rate of the photosynthesis. So that will be given in the action spectra. Then the mechanism of the photosynthesis, and this is actually the heart of the photosynthesis. So earlier we have seen that the 6 molecules of the carbon dioxide and 12 molecules of the waters in presence of the light and the chlorophyll form the hexose sugar glucose or the fructose, with release of 6 molecules of the metabolic water and 6 molecules of the oxygen are evolved during this process. So as already I told you, it is not a single reaction process, but it is a multi-step process, and basically this multi-step process is categorized into the 2 parts. The first one, that is light reaction, and the second one, that is the dark reaction. The name itself indicates light reaction, that it is dependent upon the light, and the dark reaction, it is independent to that of the light but depend on the temperature. The light reaction is also known as the primary photochemical reaction or the Hill reaction, that earlier we have seen the photolysis of the water, in which after photolysis there is a release of the proton, electron and the oxygen. And the dark reaction, which was discovered by the Blackman, and the coincidence that the dark and black. So it is a commonly known as the Blackman's reaction, or again the path of carbon in photosynthesis. Means after the absorption of the carbon, what's happened with that carbon till the formation of the hexose sugar, and hence it is known as the path of the carbon in the photosynthesis. Then number 1, that is the light reaction or primary photochemical reactions or the Hill reactions. Now the light reactions are categorized into the different parts. That first one, that is the absorption of the light. Earlier we have seen the different quantasomes or the pigments which are present in the granum. They are responsible for the absorption of the light. So after the absorption, the transfer of light energy from accessory pigment to the chlorophyll. I told that there are the presence of the chlorophyll, then carotenoids and the phycobilins. Out of these, all they absorb the energy, but they transfer it to the chlorophyll, and out of the total number of chlorophylls, the chlorophyll A is the reaction center. Then after that, the activation of the chlorophyll A, as the chlorophyll A receives the light energy from other chlorophyll pigments. Then by a molecule of photon of light, means when there is a absorption of the light by the chlorophyll A, there is a activation of the chlorophyll A, which is responsible for the emission of the electron from its ground state to the excited state, that is light energy now entered into the electron. Then in presence of light, again there is a breaking of the water molecule, as we have seen earlier that the water molecule in presence of light produces the 2 protons plus 2 electrons plus half of the O2. So this process is nothing but the photolysis of the water, which indicate that this evolution of the oxygen comes from the water and not from the carbon dioxide. Then electron transport and the production of the assimilatory power, that is NADPH2 and the ATP molecules. Earlier we have seen that after absorption of the light or the photons of light by the chlorophyll A, there is an release of the electron which is known as the energy rich electron, because it contains the radiant energy. Now this electron is transported and it is used for the formation of the assimilatory power in the form of NADPH2 and the ATP molecules. Means now the energy which is present in the electron, which was earlier absorbed from the sunlight, is transferred to the ATP and NADPH2. Means now the energy is present in the ATP and NADPH2, and this process is carried out in cyclic photophosphorylation and non-cyclic photophosphorylation. When we are talking about the photophosphorylation, phosphorylation is nothing but the process of formation of high energy phosphates, that is nothing but the ATP molecules. And if it is the photophosphorylation, means photo means the light. So the process of formation of the ATP molecules in presence of light, and that is known as the photophosphorylation. If in this process the electron which is emitted from a place, it come back to its original place again, then it is known as the cyclic photophosphorylation, and hence the cyclic electron transport is also known as the cyclic photophosphorylation. Again, the second type in which there is a transfer of the electron for the formation of the assimilatory power, that is the ATP and NADPH2, that is the non-cyclic electron transport or non-cyclic photophosphorylation. Only here the difference is that the cyclic and the non-cyclic means the process of the formation of the high energy phosphates or the assimilatory power, in which when the electron is absorbed, then it do not come to its original place, because that electron is used during the formation of the NADPH2, that we will see in the light reactions in the upcoming class. Then the second one, that is the dark reaction or Blackman's reaction, or even it is also known as the path of carbon in photosynthesis. Means after the absorption of the carbon dioxide from the atmosphere, how this carbon dioxide reaches the formation of C6H12O6. So this is actually the path of carbon in photosynthesis. So first one, that is the Kelvin cycle, that is discovered by the Melvin Kelvin, and for that he has been awarded with the Nobel Prize earlier. The first stable component or the compound of the Kelvin cycle is 3 carbon compound, that is 3-phosphoglyceric acid, and hence it is known as the C3 cycle or the C3 pathway. In this, here there is a absorption of carbon dioxide by ribulose 1,5-biphosphate. This is 5 carbon compound and this is a 1 carbon. So formation of 6 carbon addition compound which is unstable, which later on converted into 3-phosphoglyceric acid. So this 3-phosphoglyceric acid is a stable compound or the first stable compound of the Calvin cycle, and hence it is known as the C3 pathway or the C3 cycle. If 6 molecules of the carbon are absorbed by the 6 molecules of the ribulose 1,5 biphosphate, then there will be formation of 6 molecules of the 6 carbon addition compound and 12 molecules of the 3-phosphoglyceric acid. Later on, 3-phosphoglyceric acid converted into 3-PgAl, means 3-phosphoglyceraldehyde. Out of the 12 molecules of 3-phosphoglyceraldehyde, here 2 molecules are used for the formation of hexose sugar and the remaining 10 molecules are used for the formation of ribulose 1,5 biphosphate, which is again become ready for the absorption of the carbon for the photosynthesis. In addition to that, in some other plants from the graminea like the sugarcane, there are some different type of the internal structure, that there is a presence of a Kranz anatomy. Means here the bundle sheath cell also contain the chloroplast. So here the first stable product is 4 carbon compound, and hence it is known as the C4 pathway, and it was confirmed by Hatch and the Slack. MD Hatch and CR Slack has confirmed this pathway and also elaborated it, and hence it is known as the HSK pathway. The first stable compound is the malic acid, and the malic acid is a 4 carbon compound, and hence it is known as the C4 dicarboxylic acid pathway. Di and carboxylic, COOH. So here there are the 2 carboxylic group in this acid, and hence it is known as the dicarboxylic acid cycle. Then some other, like the members of the family Crassulaceae or Cactaceae, Euphorbiaceae and many more. There are around the 17 families in which there is a presence of CAM pathway. So this Crassulacean acid metabolism indicates somewhat different method in absorption of the carbon dioxide and the use of the carbon dioxide for the formation of the hexose sugar or the carbohydrate. Crassulacean acid metabolism pathway or the CAM pathway. In dicarboxylic acid pathway or the C4 pathway, here the carbon dioxide acceptor is 3-phosphoglyceric acid, which is the 3 carbon compound. See here the RUBP is 5 carbon compound and 3-phosphoglyceric acid is a 3 carbon compound. In the similar manner, in the CAM pathway also the carbon dioxide acceptor is 3-phosphoglyceric acid, and here also the first stable compound is a 4 carbon molecule. Then in members of family Crassulaceae or the other members in which there is a Crassulacean acid metabolism pathway, shows their stomata open during night. Means the stomata are closed during the day. It means that during the day these plants are unable to absorb the carbon dioxide from the atmosphere, and hence when the stomata are open during the day, then only they can absorb the carbon dioxide from the atmosphere. We know the reaction, that is the 6 times CO2 plus 12 times H2O in presence of light and chlorophyll forming C6H12O6 plus 6 times H2O plus 6 times O2. This is our reaction of the photosynthesis. Means here there is a need of the light also and carbon dioxide also. So during the day there is no availability of the carbon dioxide and only the light is available, and during the night carbon dioxide is available and the light is not available. So in such a situation, during the night it will absorb the carbon dioxide and during the day it will absorb the light. So such type of the situation, which is different than that of the C3 plants as well as the C4 plants, is found in the crassulacean acid metabolism plants, and this type of the method or the pathway is known as the crassulacean acid metabolism pathway, that we will see in a detail in the upcoming classes. Then the photorespiration, that the respiration in presence of the light. So the normal respiration is carried out during the day also and during the night also, but it is not depend upon the light. But when we have to compare this photorespiration to that of the normal respiration, the photorespiration is depend upon the light. It is considered that here it is a wasteful process because here it is responsible to use the photosynthetic yield. And the last one, that is the glycolate metabolism or the C2 pathway, on the basis of its component or the stable product which is formed in this pathway. Then at last, some other topics from the photosynthesis, that is the Blackman's law of limiting factors, then Warburg's effect and carbon dioxide compensation points. Usually these topics are not included in the UG syllabi. So in this lecture series we will try to avoid this one and we will include this one, that the factors affecting the photosynthesis, because the many environmental factors which are interacting with that of the photosynthesis, and that we will see in the upcoming classes. So friends, thank you very much for listening the lecture completely. If you like this lecture or this series of lectures in plant physiology, then kindly like, share and subscribe our YouTube channel Botany for You, and also press bell icon for the alerts of every lecture to be uploaded on different life sciences titles. And don't forget to join the Telegram group with the link given in the description. Thanks a lot once again.